Hi, welcome back everybody. We're going to shoot a video on pepper you're seeing right here, and this is basically an off pheno from the Sugar Rush Stripey that was being offered, and there's a bunch of phenos that are coming out with it, but I believe what people are doing right now is they're kind of pre-naming some of these off phenos too quickly, and they're not really doing research on it, or they just don't really care. I don't know what it is. However, we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to show you the differences between, in my opinion, this particular variety of Sugar Rush and some of the other ones that people are naming. So what's happening is a variety just recently came out called Sugar Rush Stripey, and the Sugar Rush Stripey is not totally stable, so there's a bunch of other phenos that are coming out of it. And one of the phenos that are coming out of it is a red version, and another one's a peach version. This same phenomenon kind of happened to me with the Hellfire chili. So one of my Hellfire chilies basically was coming out striped in a very weird and similar way. And then the next year when I went to grow it, they separated, and one was coming out red and one was coming out either a dark blood or chocolate, if you will. So the striping separated. Sometimes these crosses seem to exhibit themselves in a type of striping fashion. So the phenoing process really needs to be consistent and regular in order for you to maintain that striping if you can get that plant to do it again. This is a very similar situation where the striping of the Sugar Rush Stripey is separating some of its characteristics out to a peach and to a red version. Now, some people are naming this red version right out the gate as Sugar Rush Red. In my opinion, it's not the correct pheno for the Sugar Rush Red. And I'm going to show you what the correct version of that is in a minute. The red Sugar Rush that's coming out of here is not the same as the red true original version of Sugar Rush Red is, if that makes any sense. So let's take a walk out here. Okay, so we're going to take a look at some of these different variants that are coming out of the Sugar Rush Stripey. So here's the original stripe, the original one here. This is Sugar Rush Stripey. What I'm tending to notice with this, if you leave these on a plant long enough, eventually what happens is the stripes start to blend into the pepper, and eventually, I haven't left them on really, really long, but if you leave them on long enough, eventually they start to want to turn full red. They start turning red. Now this was very striped in the beginning, but as you can see, it's starting to stripen up. Eventually this pot, if you left it on the plant long enough, will actually start to turn full red. Which is weird in its own way, because it's going from green to like a tan color to eventually red. That's a strange feature specifically, but they don't necessarily hold their stripes indefinitely, or they might. So what I've been doing is I've been cutting these up and I've been drying them out, and the stripes are staying consistent right through the drying process. So when you dry these out, they literally look like strips of bacon. That's what they look like. It's the weirdest thing I ever seen. And so they do look like bacon. However, if you do leave them on a plant long enough, they do tend to want to turn full red. Here's another good example. You can see it's turning full red here. It was fully striped at one time, and now it's starting to get full red as it matures. But that's not the same as this thing. This thing is doing something really different. And so what it's doing is it's just starting off red down here, and then this red color rises all the way to the top. Here's one that's in the process of doing that now. They all ripen from the bottom, and then the red rises to the top. It's not the same thing as the Sugar Rush Red that's out there now. That's a completely different pheno. It's an off pheno from the original Sugar Rush Peach, which is something completely different, right? And this is an off pheno from the Sugar Rush Stripey. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. So if you guys are out there and you're renaming these peppers and you're just calling that Sugar Rush Red, that's wrong. Don't do that, because that's not what this is. This is not a Sugar Rush Red. I'm going to call them Sugar Rush Red Sunrise, because they rise red from the bottom and they rise up to the top. So I'm calling it Sugar Rush Red Rising, or Sugar Rush Red Rising something, or Red Sunrise, or something like that. That's what I'm going to call it, because it's not the same thing. And I want that to be specifically different than the versions of Sugar Rush Red that's available now. And I'll show you one or two of them online. So that is the difference between those two. Then you got another variant that's coming out, which is this one here, which is the Sugar Rush Stripey, no stripe, that's coming out pure peach and absolutely unbelievably large. Now, if anybody knows anything about the original Sugar Rush Peach, you'll notice that the original Sugar Rush Peach emulates any one of these types of peppers. For example, this is Cap 1220. If you look at Cap 1220, they have this dolphin nose on the bottom. They look similar to this. They have the nose. I always refer to that nose as a type of wild macadam. So it's just a way for me to identify the difference between some of these macadams. But you'll notice that the original Sugar Rush Peach seems to have some kind of a nose on it, right? If I'm not mistaken. Slightly nosed, and they're kind of barrel shaped. What else do I got that might be similar to that one right there? Here's another one. This is Cap 455. If this was bone in color, this would be a good example of what Sugar Rush Peach would look like. Sugar Rush Peach should look something like this. That's the original pheno for the Sugar Rush Peach. What you're seeing here is not the original pheno for the Sugar Rush Peach. This is some kind of variant that came out from the cross that they created with the stripey. And out of that variant, you're getting these enormously large, bizarre shapes to them, which is really cool in its own sense. However, I can't rightfully go online and start offering seeds for this and calling it Sugar Rush Peach. I would be doing the whole pepper community a disservice if I did that. So I can't do that. It would be improper for me to do that, and it would be disrespectful to the entire community. So out of respect, I'm not going to call this Sugar Rush Peach, right? Isn't it? Wouldn't that make sense? That's the nice thing to do, and we're not going to do that. However, I will call this something like Sugar Rush Peach Supersize or something weird, Supersize Peach, or I'll give it some kind of a name. But you're gonna know that this is not Sugar Rush Peach, the original version of it. This is some kind of variant that came from this, which is the original cross of the Sugar Rush Stripey. So I know I repeat myself. I know I'm kind of making this long, but I need to be very clear on what I'm doing. And I'll put that in the description once I offer seed for this. Now, a lot of these, I'm not going to keep the seed. I'm just going to eat these and or dry them out. Maybe I'll offer some of them as green. And the ones that are ripe, I will keep seed to that. But I already got bagged. I probably got maybe 2 or 3 pounds worth of seed already for this particular variant. But this is, again, this is another plant with slightly different variations. Some of the pods that are coming off of them look very reminiscent of the erotica, which I am separating that plant out. I had probably about 30 plants, and some of the plants were really putting out some really strange phenotypes. So this is called erotica, just so you know. And it's a very strange shaped variety of macadam. I've never seen anything quite like that. And it's very persistent, and it's very consistent, and it's very unique in its own way. However, I got some of these Sugar Rush stripeys that are emulating that. Now, they're not just random pods picked off different plants. I had about 10 to 20 plants growing of Sugar Rush stripey, and some of them were putting out tails very similar to the erotica with the tail. So you can see this is erotica, that's the tail, and this is Sugar Rush stripey. It's just a freak of nature, guys. It's just the way it is. I separated this plant that came out really weird with the tail. All these pods are basically from that plant. So it's a different pheno altogether, and rightfully I separated it out, right? Because we don't want these to get mixed up with the other Sugar Rush stripeys. They all have some kind of a tail on them. The ends of them are really weird. They kind of want to emulate this thing here, right? And then any of those, I'll just toss them out of there, right? Because even though they came off the same plant, we want to pheno those out. Now, I might not get seed out of those because they didn't fully ripen, but if they do ripen, I will get seed out of them. Now, so, all right, so I just wanted to show you that these are basically what I'm going to call the Sugar Rush Red Sunrise. I'll call them something like that. Sugar Rush Red Sunrise. And like I said, the reason for that is these pods ripen from the bottom, and that red rises all the way to the top. The phenos are very different. They don't have that dolphin nose on the end of it. They're a point. These pods can get quite large, as you've seen outside. There's more of them. Sugar Rush Red Sunrise. And they're very different from the Sugar Rush Red that's being offered now that you see with the weird type of dolphin nose that I refer to them as. All right, so I didn't want to make a long video out of this. I just kind of want you to see that some of these plants are exhibiting different weird shapes, and they are being separated, but do not call this particular variety of Sugar Rush Red. This is not Sugar Rush Red. I'm going to call it now Sugar Rush Red Sunrise because of that fact that it rises from the bottom and up. Hope this video helps you. Please comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.